Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. With me today, I still have Professor Anthony Killer, Professor of Strategy and Development and Institute Director at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies, CIAPS, as well as Professor David Aworawo, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies at the University of Lagos. Now to our second subject of the day. Nigeria is Africa's oil giant. But over the past 2 years, a new phenomenon has been happening quietly in its oil industry. An exodus of international oil companies from all or parts of their operations. On Tuesday, January the 16th, Shell announced that it had agreed to sell its onshore oil production business in Nigeria. The oil giant is selling a 68-year-old Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria to a consortium of local and international companies for at least $1.3 billion. The acquiring consortium, known as Renaissance, includes Switzerland-based Petrolene and 4 Nigerian oil producers, ND Western, Aradel Energy, First E&P, and Waterspeed. Last September, Italy's ENI announced it would sell its onshore subsidiary to Oando, a local company. Before that, China's Adax sold its 4 oil blocks to state oil company NNPC last year. Then there is U.S. giant ExxonMobil's plan to sell 4 onshore oil fields to Seplat, a Lagos and London dual-listed energy company, for about $1.3 billion. Just last week, it was French giants TotalEnergies. Now I'm being joined for further discussion around this by Alhaji Bamanga Jada, who is Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority. Good to have you on This Day Live, Alhaji Jada.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, quickly, you had the introduction. International oil companies divesting from crude oil and gas investments in Nigeria, selling off their assets, and most of these divestments are located in onshore areas and shallow waters. And we had the example most recently of Shell divesting its assets onshore. What are the implications in terms of the core mandate of your agency, which is basically to attract investment to Nigeria?
Thank you very much, and once again, good afternoon. Oil and Gas Free Zones Authority is a regulatory agency of government that's saddled with the responsibility to manage, develop, and administer activities of the nation's oil and gas free zones. Part of our mandate is to attract foreign direct investment into the country and local direct investments into the zones. The authority is also saddled with the responsibility to make sure that there is ease of doing business within its area of operations. I want to say categorically that the issue of investors leaving Nigeria is not correct and is not true. I had a meeting with Shell Energy and Shell Gas Nigeria recently in my office, and the Honorable Minister of Industries, Trade and Investment also had a meeting with them. The information out is not correct. Rather, it is a welcome development. Shell Nigeria have been operating in Nigeria for decades, and they were able to develop local capacities, and they were able to transfer technology to our people. And they believe, and they have confidence now that Nigerians can manage the onshore sector of the downstream petroleum aspect. So for this, they have the resources, they have the technology. They are now considering going into deep offshore. So this is a welcome development. This means new investment coming into the oil and gas sector. This means that these people were able to transfer technology to our local people. They were able to build capacities. And it's part of our mandate, and it's in line with President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda to develop local capacities to transfer technology into the system. And Shell, as a responsive and responsible company, have proven beyond reasonable doubt that yes, they are Nigerian friends and they have been doing business with Nigeria. They have confidence in our system. They were able to train our people. And they believe that our people can handle this aspect. So they have the resources, technology, and they know how to go into deep offshore. And this means that new investment and another, they're also going into gas and power. So this is telling you that Shell is also trying to cut down investment into hydrocarbons because they are very mindful of our environment. They are in line with the president's commitment to cut down emission releases into the ozone layer. So they're investing into gas, and which is more environmentally friendly and more sustainable energy source. Thank you.
Okay, I get the point about the oil majors trying to enhance and diversify their portfolio, and also to be cognizant of the energy transition issue that is a global one. But these same IOCs complain about difficulties operating in Nigeria, complaints about infrastructure, complaints about crude oil theft, complaints about pipeline vandalism, and the bottlenecks that they face. What is your agency doing, for example, to address these bottlenecks, whether for international investors or even for the local content providers?
Thank you very much for this question. Day before yesterday, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment had a press briefing with the Minister of Information. She mentioned clearly that all bottlenecks will be eliminated. The ease of doing business is a priority, and investors understanding that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is committed to eliminate all bottlenecks, and he has been marketing Nigeria. And he is somebody that understands the power of businesses to catalyze industrialization, to create jobs. He is willing and committed to eliminate all obstacles. Just last month, we had a meeting with the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy and the Minister of Budget and National Planning, and also the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Anite Azuka, on how to make the special economic zones of Nigeria more efficient. And they have considered, and we have all agreed, that we need to do a lot of investment within the zones in terms of infrastructure. And the government is committed to improve the infrastructure within the zone. And it's part of my 7-point agenda of infrastructural excellence, and then infrastructure excellence, and then investor focus. So for this, I want to assure you and assure our investors that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a very responsible government. It's a government that is business friendly, and it's a government that is ready and willing to eliminate obstacles to bring about ease of doing business, to cut down cost of production, so that Nigerians, so that the industry is operating within the zone, both local and foreign investors within the zone will be able to do business at a very low cost, so that they can expand, grow, and then create jobs within the system. And I want you to know that the president is committed to building an economy that is solid, economy that can be resilient, economy that can be sustainable. He is doing that through job creation. He is doing that in supporting the power and understanding the power of this concept of special economic zones. It is important to note that this is the concept that has proven all over the world that can catalyze and accelerate economic growth and development. So for this, the president is supporting the sector and is willing, is committed. And I want to assure our investors that with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, all obstacles will be eliminated, and then their investment will be jealously protected by this government. Thank you.
Well, the Nigerian government is always talking about providing incentives to encourage foreign direct investment. And some of the incentives in the oil and gas sector, some of which are overseen by the agency that you had, like not paying taxes, local taxes, like zero expatriate quota, like zero customs duty. Now, are these incentives in the long run not to the disadvantage of Nigeria? I mean, your agency says it oversees about 20 billion worth of investment. So how much of all that, revenue generated by these IOCs goes back into the Federation account? What do we really gain in real terms with all these generous incentives we're giving IOCs?
Thank you very much again for this question. The president is a strong believer in subsidizing productivity, not consumption. When he came on board, he took the bold step to get rid of subsidy on PMS, that's subsidy on consumption. And subsidy on productivity is the most healthiest subsidy every president can give to the citizenry. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu strongly believes that subsidy on production is healthy and is good for the country. Because of the incentives we give to our investors, we were able to attract within the special economic zones over $600 billion over $66 billion worth of investment into the country. This resulted into massive technology transfer, massive job creation. And the culminating effect of this scenario is that once jobs is created, it means disposable income of individuals will go up. And once their disposable income goes up, it means aggregate demand will go up. And if the aggregate demand goes up, likewise, it will also affect aggregate investment, thereby restoring confidence in the system and then bringing about solid economy that the president is willing and is committed to build.
Okay, we have...
There's nothing like revenue loss. And at the same time, sorry, sir, at the same time, I want to make this point very clearly. If you produce within the zone, if you are exporting, it's export duty-free. If you are importing, it's import duty-free. At the same time, if you produce within the zone, and then you want to sell your goods within the custom territory, that's the domestic market. Everything you produce within the zone is subjected to all the duties, custom duty, and all other taxes that is applicable. So there is nothing like loss of revenue. Rather, if you produce within the zone and you are bringing it into the custom territory, Nigeria is also getting some income through the custom duties and the rest. So it is a win-win situation for Nigeria, and this concept has proven globally that it is the most efficient and effective tool that can accelerate economic growth and development, scaling up of industrialization to achieve larger economic of scales. And that is what this government is after. This government is after expanding businesses, after bringing in more businesses. Just last week, the APM Terminals CEO Global was in Nigeria. Before then, there was a facility that was completed in my zone in Riverside in One, a state-of-the-art facility, world-class. That facility is over $112 million. And the CEO Global was in Nigeria. He met with the president, he met with the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, he met with me, and we have assured them Nigeria is open to foreign investors. Nigeria is very friendly. It's a place that any investor can invest. In terms of gas resources, we have over 206 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, and we have over 37 billion proven reserve of crude oil. And this is a country that is blessed, that is endowed with so many resources. And the multinationals are now ready to go into gas, which is more environmentally friendly and cleaner source of energy. So there is nothing like revenue loss. This is a concept that brings about economic growth and development, not just economic growth, but inclusive. A growth that brings about jobs, that brings about technology transfer. That's why when you mention Shell and Total, Shell was able to transfer technology to our people, was able to develop capacities, and they are now going into offshore. The same thing with Total Nigeria Limited. Total Nigeria Limited, after showing intention to exit the offshore, the offshore and the downstream aspect, they pledged to invest over $6 billion US into the system through production of gas. So this is a welcome development. This is to show you that the president's economic policies are working. The country is now open for businesses. The president went around the world with the Minister of Industries. They were wooing investors. We are also wooing investors. And the investors believe in the capacity of the president to support businesses, and they have confidence. I assure you, I am telling you that I was with my investors in my zones. We engaged them. They are all happy. The policy of this government is excellent when it comes to investment. So they are all happy, and they are willing to commit more resources, and more investments are coming. Just last week, the last 2 weeks, in my zone in One, we were able to have a groundbreaking of a 50,000 metric tons of LPG facility. It's a depot that have the capacities to store 50,000 metric tons of LPG by Nesgas Producing Limited.
Alaji, yes, it's good you mentioned on there. We have seven free zones, export free zones, oil and gas free zones. Now, out of these 7, it looks like it's on there that is the most efficient. And that's perhaps because Intels, I think, helped to build capacity there. But in most of the other places, our ports don't even have the relevant draft to take in vessels and all of that. So it's only on there that looks like it's very efficient. And yet, on top of this, we are now having Oguta Orashi Free Zone. So, I mean, in the southeast. The existing ones are not, operating at optimum capacity, the kind of thing we see in, say, Brussels, in Belgium, and yet we are adding to it. Of what value is an additional free zone?
Thank you, Doctor. That's another wrong perception. We have a zone in Akwa Ibom, Liberty Oil and Gas Free Zones. There is an activity going there already. We have an investor and other investors. There is a single investor, that is Thailand Petrochemicals. They have committed over $1 billion US investment in that area. And they are working hard, and the portfolio of that investment is over $8 billion US in just from Thailand Petrochemicals. And at the same time, the president, in his wisdom and in believing on the power of special economic zones to accelerate economic growth and development, he graciously approved the declaration of Orashi Energy Zone in Imo State last month. And I want to assure you, and I want to tell Nigerians, this is simple. The president has shown love to the Southeast, and it shows that he has an affinity for the Southeasterners. This is the first energy zone that have been declared in the whole of Southeast. This will turn Southeast to the international center of gas. This will bring about influx of foreign direct investment. This will bring about technology transfer, massive job creation. And it will open Imo and the whole of Southeast to the international market. So this is a welcome development. And I want to tell you that our zones are very efficient. We have a lot of activities in Akwa Ibom, we have activities in Delta, and the One Oil and Gas Free Zone, yes, is not just the most successful in Nigeria, it is the most successful in the whole of Africa and one of the best in the world. Let me tell you, a lot of countries, it's not that Nigeria is copying from countries. Countries copy from us too. One Oil and Gas Free Zone is the first energy free zone to be established in the whole world. It's number 1, and other countries copied from us. And as it is, it's the most successful energy free zone in the whole of Africa and one of the most successful in the world. And the other zones that we have, we are working hard. The president is working assiduously under the able leadership of our Honorable Minister, the hard-working Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Anite, who is working assiduously to ensure that industries have been scaled up, ease of business have been achieved, all obstacles and bottlenecks have been eliminated, so that the sector will be able to contribute a lot to the national development. And understanding the powers of SMEs. In our zones, we are now committed to create job cities within the zone, whereby we'll admit SMEs into our zones, being SMEs is contributing almost 50%, 48% to our GDP. We want to have job centers within, job cities within the zones where the SMEs will have access to infrastructure, will have access to power, will have access to technology, and then they will grow, expand, and there will be jobs and income for our people. And that's what the president is after. The president is after building an economy that is resilient, that is solid, that will push Nigeria into, that will take Nigeria out of this mess. So we have to be patient and we have to appreciate the effort of the president. That's why at this point, please and please, I am urging Nigerians, all well-meaning Nigerians, not to distract the president. The president is committed. And recently, just 8 months of his administration, he was able to create a lot of jobs, and he is committed to create millions of jobs. And this is attainable within the special economic zones concept. And at the same time, the president is committed to taking Nigeria into $1 trillion economy. And this is possible with the coming of Orashi, oil and gas free zone, with the support we are getting from all the relevant stakeholders, with the support from the Minister of Industries and the Minister of Coordinating Minister and the Minister of Finance. So we believe that Nigeria will be better for it.
Okay,
Thank you.
As we begin to wrap up. Yes, when the multinationals divest, we see local players coming in. You know, we've seen Dangote cement coming in. We've seen Aitio coming in the western Delta area. We have seen, you know, other players coming in. Renaissance Group is now, you know, the consortium that is also coming in. But what does your agency do? One, to promote local content and ensure that these local players, these national companies that come in, will be able to pay enough attention to environmental issues. Because many of these national you know, companies, otherwise known as local players, they don't have the capacity to manage environmental implications. And then secondly, what does your agency do in the various places where you have economic zones for the host communities? Because it's not enough to just say there is a economic free zone in Akwa Ibom, the one is going to Orashi and all of that. How about the people?
Thank you for this question. In terms of developing local capacities and in terms of attracting local direct investment into the energy-free zones, or special economic zones, our regulatory agency has done a lot, and we were able to achieve substantial results. Just in 2002, Bestav lubricant plant was commissioned by the then President Muhammadu Buhari, and it is fully developed by a local investor, Sayu and Tata. And that facility is producing 240 million liters of lubricant every year. And it's a world-class facility, and it's developed by a Nigerian businessman. This is to show you that the zone is not just focused on attracting foreign direct investment. We are also attracting local direct investments into the zone. We are supporting Nigerians while also we are welcoming international players into our country. At the same time, in terms of corporate social responsibility, the investors within my zone, I can assure you that these people are very responsible and they are very mindful of the environment where they do business. There are a lot of activities that is taking place within the zone in terms of corporate social responsibility. There's a facility in One that trains hundreds of youths, women, every year, and with startup packs. And at the same time, there are scholarships, international scholarship, schools built by our investors, hospitals, electricity, and so many other benefits apart from the jobs. So our investors are very responsible and responsive investors. The authority is not just promoting foreign direct investment, it's also supporting and attracting local direct investors into our zones. And I just gave you an example with the best stuff. So we are doing more, and we are working hard, and we want to do more. And I want to assure you, under the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu economic agenda, Nigeria will see the result, and the result will be massive job creation and massive technology transfer. Thank you.
On that note, I would like to thank you very much, Alhaji Bamanga Jada, Managing Director, CEO of Nigeria Oil and Gas Free Zones. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.